Stephen Bedard here, and I want to talk to you about whether we should read books by authors who have fallen in some way. So, thinking of some relatively recent examples, do we read books by Ravi Zacharias? Or what about Jean Vanier? Do we read books by them? What about Bill Hybels? What about many of the other examples of leaders that we have respected at one point in the past, but it has been revealed that they have committed some kind of sin? Do we remove all of these books from our libraries? Do we reject them? Do we stop quoting from them? What are we supposed to do? And this is actually a pretty difficult question to answer because it is not really clear what we should do. First of all, every author has done something wrong. It doesn't matter what kind of Christian author you're talking about. If you dig deep enough, you're going to find something wrong in their past. But sometimes there's been something so extreme that we begin to ask. And I think Jean Vanier and Ravi Zacharias are two examples of that, and we could add more into that. So how do we decide whether or not we are going to do this? Is it people who have committed sexual sins, like the example that I have already given? Well, what about other authors who have perhaps fallen from their pedestals, but maybe not because of sexual sins? So thinking of pastors like James MacDonald or Mark Driscoll, who got in trouble more for their leadership style and being too aggressive and creating a toxic workplace. Do we continue to read from them, or is sexual sin the line that we will not cross? What happens if it is an example of someone maybe who has been caught in adultery but has repented, has been reconciled to their spouse, has gone through the proper discipline from whatever body that they've put themselves under? Then do we continue to read from them? These are some of the examples of questions we have to wrestle with. What do we do? So one of the things that we have to take into account is something called the genetic fallacy. And so the genetic fallacy is defined in this way. A genetic fallacy is a logical fallacy that occurs when a claim is accepted or rejected based on the source of the evidence rather than the quality or applicability of the evidence. So basically what the genetic fallacy is asking is not just whether or not Ravi Zacharias was a person that we should respect, whether he was a person who lived what he taught. What we should be asking is the information that's found in his books, is it true? And if it's true, then it is still available to us to work through, to quote, to read, and it's still of some help. Now, I don't really know what the answer is to this. Now, I'll say for Ravi Zacharias, just the example there, I actually don't find his books that helpful. It's not that they're bad, and there have been times in the past where they have been kind of helpful for me, but I wouldn't consider Ravi Zacharias a great scholar by any means. He was a very good apologetics preacher, and this is some good apologetic devotional type material. But if I was going to dig deep into apologetic scholarship, I probably wouldn't go to Ravi Zacharias. But Jean Vanier would be in a different category for me, in that he really did a lot of work in the area of disability theology and disability ministry that is still very applicable today. And the things that he said are not things that other people have said. And Many disability theologians, if you look at the major works that are out there right now, much of them will include quotes from Jean Vanier, much more than apologists will quote from Ravi Zacharias. And so I actually struggle more with what to do with Jean Vanier. And I'll tell you, I am just finishing up my Doctor of Ministry thesis, and I have a section on Jean Vanier. Now, I acknowledge what he did, but I continue to quote from him and have a section on his thought because it still is influential. But I know that there are a lot of people, a lot of other people in the disability community, especially the disability Christian community, that have removed Jean Vanier's books from their bookshelves because they don't want to include that. And I don't think that there's actually one answer for everyone. I don't think we can answer with a definite yes or no of whether or not we should continue to read these books. In the case of Jean Vanier and Ravi Zacharias, both of them have passed on. Neither one of them are going to receive royalties from us buying books from them. But we are not encouraging them in their sin. We are not financially benefiting them. So that is one thing to keep in mind, which is maybe a different situation for some other authors who are maybe still receiving those royalty checks, and we might be having second thoughts about helping them in that way. But I can see how there would be some people, especially those who have been the victims of sexual abuse or sexual harassment, who could be triggered by reading these books, and also those who are close to such victims. It might be a real struggle for them to read these books, and so I can completely understand that. It doesn't make them bad to decide to remove those books, but there are those who continue to read the books by such authors, and that doesn't make them bad either. We all have to make our own decisions. I think we have to read these books in the context of who they are, and so as we are reading what they are saying, we can ask, how does this fit with how they lived? And sometimes that is consistent, and sometimes it is not consistent. But we still have to judge what they are saying, whether it is true or not. And this is going to be an ongoing struggle. And unfortunately, by the time you watch this video, you might find that a new author has fallen in some way. A new Christian leader, a new thought leader has fallen, who has been discovered to be in sexual sin or some kind of other sin. And we just have to wrestle through with what we're going to do about this, because the examples are going to keep on coming. And what do we do? You can see behind me I have lots and lots of books here. And I know for a fact that some of those authors have done things that were inconsistent with the Christian life. And yet there is value in them as at the same time. Things are true whether or not the people who said them were living fully truthful lives. And that's the challenge we have. So I may have only just given you more questions and not really provided the answers, but that's because I am wrestling through this as well. I would love to hear what you're thinking. Please comment in the comment section for this video and tell me, do you go through your library? Do you remove books by these authors and authors that I haven't talked about when you find out that there has been some kind of moral failing on their part? Do you regularly purge your library when these things happen? I would love to hear what you're doing and how you wrestle with it. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel, and also please check out my website, stephenjbedard.com. Thank you, and God bless.